Whenever you're ready, just yell at me.
We're ready.
Okay. I call this Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024, Area Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. Can we have a roll call of members, please?
Yes, Andy Bailey is absent. Grant Muller.
Here.
Stacy Pettigo.
Here.
Scott Hestensberger is absent. Chester Bengus.
Here.
And then staff members Liz Stitzel and Kat Bell are present, as well as Jane Moore. And normally your first meeting of the year, you would assign officers.
Okay.
Since we're down 2 and it's a special meeting, you guys can certainly choose to push that to your regularly scheduled BZA member meeting when you
Okay.
have your full membership if you wish.
Do we need to make a motion to do that?
You don't.
Okay. You want to just push it? We'll just push it back till the next meeting. And then whenever you're ready, can you take us through the disposition of minutes, please?
I sure can. So this is for the first case. It's application CC. Minutes. I apologize. Yeah, so these are the October 24th
I have a pen if you
minutes,
need
which I believe Kat
Okay.
sent out.
Yes.
Right.
And
Yes.
so
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second. And then a roll call of members, or roll call vote, please.
Grant Muller,
Yes.
Stacy Pettigo,
Yes.
Chester Bengus.
Yes.
Okay, minutes are approved 3-0.
Do we have any old business to go through?
We do not.
Okay. So our first public hearing is application CC-2023-01203, docket number 40-23-VA. Liz, whenever you're ready, can you take us through that staff report?
Now. Staff report. So, yeah, the applicant is this old farm. They're located out at 9572 West County Road 650 South. They're in Colfax. This is a request to get a variance from the rear setback to allow a primary structure to sit 10 foot from the property line instead of the required 25. This would be more commonly known as there's been a meat packaging plant here for a long time, and then this old farm really for a long time now. But that's been its history all along, and the property's been zoned B5, which is agribusiness, and then everything surrounding it is agricultural. The site's on the north side of 650 South. It's just west of the town of Colfax. There is an existing approved food processing facility in the building. It was significantly remodeled in 2011. An additional 3.14 acres was purchased since then to allow the business to expand. In 2021, the petitioner built an accessory structure that was only for the purpose of storage. But in the future, they hope to incorporate it into the existing facility. So in the original plan, they were going to build that structure more to the east of where it ended up being, but they found there were some wetlands that they needed to avoid, and so they changed the location to where it sits now, which is a little more toward the west. The location change in 2021 did meet the required setbacks for an accessory structure, which is only 5 foot from the property line. But now they're wanting to attach that accessory structure to the primary structure, and so that then changes what the setbacks are to that 25 foot. And this was not a pre-existing structure before the ordinance was written, so it's not exempt as a legal non-conforming building. Consequently, before the petitioner can get a permit to connect that accessory structure to the primary, they are requesting this variance, as without it, we can't make that connection. There's a aerial on the second page that just kind of shows you, it does show the wetland that they had to move to get around. It also shows you the accessory structure and then the food processing facility itself. And then Kat's got a picture there that shows what it looks like from the road as well. You can see to the right the food processing facility, and then the large red and silver building with the 2 cupolas is the accessory structure in question. So there's 3 findings that must exist in order to grant a variance. The findings are as follows. First, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. So given that all of the buildings are existing and the variance is only needed to attach the rear building to the existing front building, then if the variance is granted, it would not appear to be injurious to the public health or safety of the immediate area. If the buildings are not attached, there's no issue at all, no variance required, and everything continues to be met. So simply the act of attaching it would not appear to change how the site relates to the nearby community. Two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. So the surrounding property is mostly farmland, there's a few rural homes. There has been a meat or food processing business of some sort here since the 70s, and the existing buildings will continue to look the same way they have so far, they'll just be attached. So there doesn't appear to be anything that's changing that would be substantial and cause one to expect a change of value. Three, the strict application of the terms in the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. So the original plan was the rear building was gonna be built more toward the east, where there wouldn't be the setback issues with long-term plans, but in order to avoid the wetlands and not be in the service driveway, the building had to be moved to where it sits now. And then due to the expansion of the business, the petitioner does need the buildings to be attached in order to efficiently accommodate the growing business on the site and use it as part of the primary structure. So without the variance, they can't rebuild the building in the wetland, nor can they expand that direction. They would not be able to expand the business in the primary building as planned, so that would be their practical difficulty. The recommendation consequently is to approve the request. There have not been any letters either for or against, nothing received in the office in terms of communication relative to this case.
Okay, is the petitioner present? Would you like to add anything?
They did a fantastic job.
Okay.
What's going on.
Okay.
If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience that'd like to add anything or any questions? Okay. Any questions from you guys? Anything you'd like to add? I really don't see an issue at all.
No, building's been there, it's been, met all the requirements at that time. Use is gonna change, it's not gonna substantially
Yep.
affect the farmland around it.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'd like to make a motion to approve application CC 2023-0120, docket 40-23-VA, according to the findings of the staff report, which were incorporated in the motion by reference.
And I'll second. Whenever you get a chance, roll call vote, please.
All right, Garrett Muller,
Yes.
Stacy Pettigrew,
Yes.
Chester Bankus.
Yes.
3-0, so coordinate with Pat on what you need for your permit, and she can move forward.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
The next public hearing we have scheduled is application CC 2023-01254, docket number 41-23-SE. Liz, will you take us through that staff report, please?
Sure, so I'm gonna apologize if I mutilate his last name. This is Lou Wozniak?
Wozniak.
Wozniak, all right. Located at 8660 West County Road 350 North. This is a request for an accessory apartment in an accessory structure, which is a special exception. It's use 3.10 on the use table. The parcel in question is zoned R2, which is low-density residential. And then to the north, there is industrial and high-density residential. To the east, there's more low-density residential. The south is a mix of agricultural and low-density residential, and the west is low-density residential. This is in a kind of an interesting transitional area. It is not technically within Mulberry's urban growth area boundary, just because of the railroad being a limited factor for them for sewer. But if there was not a railroad there, it would be, and there's substantial residential development in that area, so it is in our comprehensive plan, zoned residentially for that purpose. So this particular situation, the proposed accessory structure that the accessory apartment is inside of is an existing structure, a barn, and it's the staff's understanding that the property owner will be residing in the existing dwelling, and then that unit will be for a family member. The petition site was cited for construction work being done to the accessory structure, and we since determined that was for an accessory apartment. A new septic system, separate from the existing one, was actually being installed, and I think it was actually the digging on that that caused the complaint to our office. People saw that on the outside and didn't see a permit. So Anyway, the petitioner was notified of the violation, and they were advised that in order to have both the house and an accessory apartment on that parcel, he first needed a special exception approval from the Board of Zoning Appeals. As the structure currently sits, it does not meet residential building codes, and until a certificate of occupancy is obtained, the structure must remain vacant with no one living inside it. The petitioner has made all efforts since receiving notification to take the necessary steps to make the structure and the use legal. He had staff come out to do a walkthrough, an engineer has been out to look at it as well, and kind of figure out what needs to happen if they're able to move forward from the BZA, and the structure is not occupied by anyone at the moment. So he's been as cooperative as he could be, given he was already midway through the process when he got caught. So there's an aerial of the property there on the second page. You can see Katz noted the existing dwelling as well as the accessory structure that will contain the apartment. And then there's a picture of that, and you can see the accessory structure. The exterior has already been remodeled and windows and doors put in for that use. So in terms of a request analysis, there's a series of findings that must exist in order to approve a special exception, as well as some specific standards for accessory apartments. So first, the proposed use must conform to the district provisions in which it will be located and the general regulations of the ordinance. So this use is 3.10 on Table A, and it is a special exception in the A1 district. There's 8 supplemental standards. It appears, as of the time of the staff report, that, I think there's a typo there, that they are all met. Anyway, let me go through them one at a time here. So there can only be one accessory apartment on any parcel that has a dwelling unit, and that standard is met. The accessory apartment has to be clearly secondary and incidental to the principal dwelling, which we usually judge in terms of square footage. And this new apartment is in a structure that's significantly smaller in footprint than the house. 3, the accessory structure can either be in a detached structure or in the principal unit. It may not be a mobile or manufactured home, nor a temporary structure. So this is in a detached structure. It will be renovated to meet residential codes and have a septic approval. So it would meet that. The owner of the property must reside on the property, either in the principal unit or the apartment. This appears to be met. There are no exterior stairways, which is the next standard, so no issue there. Since this is in an accessory structure, we don't have to worry about rules for interior, which is the next code. In terms of county building code and county health department standards being met, the applicant understands they will need to meet residential code. He does have his septic installed, so that standard is met with the health department. An engineer has looked at the structure, and we have a report. And the applicant is willing to follow the engineer's requirements for the structure. If followed, there should be no issue with it being able to meet residential code. And finally, the additional parking has to be provided in an off-street way. It's 2 required parking spaces. As you can see from the picture, there is ample room here for the 2 required spots for the house and then 2 more for the apartment. So finding number 2 is the proposed use shall not involve any element or cause a condition that may be dangerous, injurious, or noxious to any other property or persons, and shall comply with the performance standards herein. So if this is approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals, then a permit will be needed for the interior renovations to that barn in order for it to be suitable, and a certificate of occupancy can then be issued. There's no new buildings being built here. It's still a residential use. So there doesn't seem to be anything that would be considered noxious, injurious, or dangerous to other houses in the area. 3, the proposed use shall be sited, oriented, and landscaped so the relationship of its buildings and grounds to adjacent buildings and properties does not impair health, safety, or comfort, nor adversely affect values of adjacent properties. Again, the apartment's in the accessory structure that's already pre-existing. The front of it does not face the road. It sits back off the road behind grain bins. Aside from the interior renovations required, the structure will continue to appear the way it did when we came by on the staff report, which is that white exterior. And the finding appears to be met. 4, the proposed use shall produce a total environmental effect consistent with and not harmful to the environment of the neighborhood. So given the location on the property where the structure sits, the type of structure it is, and that is an existing structure that has no prior complaints to staff's knowledge, it appears the apartment will remain consistent with the neighborhood. Additionally, in this particular case, it's relevant to point out that this site is located in the R2, low density residential zoning district. It's adjacent to Mulberry's town limits as well. It's not taking agricultural land out of operation to add the additional dwelling unit, but if somebody came into the same field and wanted to put 50 houses, this is already residentially zoned, so it wouldn't come before the BZA. So the additional dwelling unit is actually in a location where dwellings are prioritized rather than farm ground. 5, 5, the proposed use shall organize vehicular access and parking to minimize conflicting traffic movement on adjacent streets. No issue here, there's plenty of space. And finally, the proposed use shall promote the objectives of the ordinance and be consistent with the comprehensive plan. So the 2012 comprehensive plan land use goal 2 says to promote the development of residential areas with high quality housing in a variety of types, styles, and densities. Additionally, this petition site falls right there south of Mulberry. It's noted on the comprehensive plan as an area to be designated for residential development. The addition of an accessory apartment on the petition site, subject to board approval, would appear to support all of those goals. Consequently, staff recommends approval of the special exception request.
Thank you, Liz. Is the petitioner present?
Yes.
Would you like to add anything, sir?
Just that,
Would you mind going to the microphone?
oh,
We're recording, and I always forget to tell people, so thank you.
I actually feel better standing up. That's my daughter right there. I'll be living in the main residence with my wife, and that's my daughter that would be living in the auxiliary apartment. Other than that, just, I guess, of interest, this property has been in my wife's family 135 years. So it was her great grandfather that built that barn, and we feel good about putting her in there, and it still looks barny. It's not exactly a barn anymore, but it's still. And then on the inside, there's like nice big timbers, and we're trying to preserve that on the inside. And,
Okay.
But yeah, that's just of interest.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Any questions for me?
I was gonna say I don't.
We want to see if the public
Yeah,
has
I'll
any comments.
see if anybody else. But thank you, sir.
Good.
Is there anybody else in the audience that'd like to add anything or any questions? Nope. Okay. You guys have any? I don't really have any concerns. No.
Well, the area looks nice and neat.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's even being built to look nice and neat, which is very good.
And I'm all for preserving old barns. There's too many that are falling down. So
And you're going after making it meet the requirements that for the residential building code and installing septic that's good enough for it, so.
The septic has gotten a permit from the very beginning, done correctly, and Nash, who's on the health board, came out and gave me a verbal approval. I don't know if he's submitted his report yet, but it's done. So the septic is complete.
And you said you had a motion, or you had a report from the engineer, and apparently all that's being cared for properly.
Yes, there's some things that are required, but nothing that the petitioner is unwilling or unable to address to make it meet residential.
Good. So with that, it certainly seems like, with the lack of public comments, it seems like it'd be a good way to step ahead and try to meet the goals and
yep, I
go
would
in the
agree.
proper direction. So I'd make a motion to approve application number 2023-01254, docket 41-23-SE, according to the findings of the staff report, which were incorporated in the motion by reference.
And I will second that. And then whenever you get a chance, roll call vote, please.
All right, Grant Muller,
Yes.
Stacy Pettigrew,
Yes.
Chester Banks.
Yes.
3-0. So same thing for you as the last group. Just, I know you've already got some info to us, but as soon as we've got your info complete, we'll be able to issue it. And you'll be able to pick up where you left off when you stopped.
thank you.
Yep, thank you. Do we have any new business, Liz? And you guys are more than welcome to leave if you'd like to, or if you want to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Oh, there's a lot more.
No, not very much. I was just letting you know, you're more than welcome to leave. But
I was
It's,
gonna probably hug both of them. They've been really helpful, so.
Nothing huge, I guess just by way of update, we have hired, which Grant would know this from the APC, but we have hired a building inspector now, finally, after 8 months without. He's doing well, starting to studying for his certifications, he's starting to do some ride-alongs on inspections. I did not get him here tonight because quite frankly, I was gone across New Year's, and came in this morning, I thought it probably wasn't real kind to a new staff member to tell them they have to work till 7 with no advance warning. But I will ask him to be at your next meeting so we can introduce him formally, and so you have a face with a name when he has relevant opinions to cases in the future. So, but did want to let you know we have someone on staff. His name is Harold Clark.
Okay,
So
okay. Is that all for the new business?
that is all. I don't
Okay.
have anything else dramatic.
Okay, so the next meeting will be January 23rd of 2024. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
And I will second that.
All right. Done.